We're pleased to welcome to the Naz Wally Sports Hour the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Lou Lamoriello. Good morning, Lou, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. It's my pleasure.
Thanks so much, Lou. And Lou, we're going to try and perhaps do a little bit something different this morning. I know you've spent quite a bit of the week talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and the trade deadline and the great pickups, Brian Boyle and Eric Fehr, and the fantastic job that you've done with the Toronto Maple Leafs, you and all of your staff and Brendan Shanahan. But we want to talk a little bit about Lou Lamoriello this morning, because you are a legend in hockey, Lou, and you earned almost every accolade that is available to anybody who's ever participated in hockey. You're a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame. You're a member of the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. You have trophies named after you. You're a legend in your university at Providence. But one question we want to ask you, Lou. As a young boy growing up in Rhode Island, when did you first fall in love with hockey, and what made you fall in love with hockey?
Well, I'd rather talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs and our players and the season, but I'll answer that question.
And we'll get to that.
Let's get over to the Toronto. I was very fortunate that I had a mom and dad who was very interested in hockey, and got me exposed to it with the Rhode Island Reds in the American Hockey League when I couldn't walk. And so it went from there, and I find myself today here in Toronto. And so let's talk about Toronto.
Then we'll ask you, Lou, what's the biggest difference between being a general manager in New Jersey and being a general manager in Toronto?
Well, I think certainly the amount of media coverage and the amount of fan support. There's no question. You're in an area where it's a passion, it's a lifestyle, and it's just outstanding. As far as the general managership, as far as the responsibilities, they're the same. And the only difference is you have to make sure that you don't let the media or the fans get in the way of what you have to do and what the right decisions are. And I've been very fortunate in both areas to be surrounded by, very intelligent hockey people, good people, who make sure you stay on the right path.
Lou, Auston Matthews, did you think he was this good?
No, I don't think anyone thought that he would be where he is today. I think everyone knew he had the potential. And the reason I say that is because, where he came from when he was in the U.S. program initially, and then he went over to Switzerland, he just kept, sort of rising to each challenge that was given to him, where I think we really recognized that, he was further along than we all thought was in the World Championships when he went with the USA team, and started off basically on the third line as a wing, and then by the end of the tournament found himself right in the forefront, as he's done with us. And the great part about this young man is that he wants to be good. He wants to maximize the talents that he's been given. And, as a team person, you don't see him celebrating at a high level after a goal. He's for me, an old school type of pro in the modern area.
I'm talking to Lou Nanny. Lou, two pickups this week at the trade deadline. Brian Boyle, Eric Fehr, the two big pickups that are going to make a difference in the lineup, in the current lineup. What was your thought process behind Brian Boyle and Eric Fehr, and how do they fit in? How do they fit into your current plan?
Well, as far as Brian Boyle first, I think that it was obvious that we were missing something in our fourth line. I think the fourth line is a very important line for a lot of different reasons, and there has to be certain types of parts put into that. And we were missing this type of player. And yet, when we say we were missing it, we knew what our foundation as far as the process is to try and get the Maple Leaf team to be a contending team for a period of time, which means you cannot give up assets. Unless what you give up is going to be part of that future for that period that the plan that Brandon has put in place over a couple of years ago. So in saying that, Brian was available. Fortunately, last year in some of the transactions, we were able to acquire X number of picks that we felt this would not get in the way, but he would fill that hole perfectly with experience, with size and strength, with face-off abilities, penalty killing abilities, and he along with Matt Martin and whomever we put on the other wing, we would be able to utilize them, play them in different situations. Not worry about them on the road or at home, and also the body, the size of the body, and the physicality that he has will also help Matt and what he's done for us. So there were a lot of different reasons, and Brian was the perfect one, was available, we were able to get him.
Lou, size factor, you mentioned about size. A lot of our listeners have said that the Leafs are too small, need to get bigger. Do you think they need to get bigger?
Well, we will be getting bigger. Remember how young some of our players are. They're going to be putting on weight. When you say bigger, it's how you play. You play bigger. You get stronger as you mature. If there's something that is needed that we feel that then it's on us to do that. But I think right now our size is not an issue. It's our speed. We don't want to lessen our speed. We don't want to compensate, say, for size and strength and take away the way we want to play the game and the style that Mike Babcock and his staff has put together. So, it's a very touchy situation. It's a fine line sometimes, and we'll try and address it as it comes along. But right now, size and strength is not an issue at this point.
Lou, you know how important, how starved Toronto hockey fans are for success, and we're certainly, speaking on behalf of the fans, we're certainly thrilled with the progress that you and Brendan and your staff have made so far. You have nothing but accolades from us and most Maple Leaf fans are out there, and certainly thrilled about that. And how important is making the playoffs this year?
Well, in other words, the importance of making the playoffs is the same for 30 teams. So we can't, get in the way of putting such an emphasis on it. There's nothing different. But what we cannot do, and we should not be doing right now, is thinking about playoffs. What we should be doing is concentrating on what we have been doing all year long, getting our players to play the best they possibly can, developing them through the process, not getting ahead of ourselves. And, if we're fortunate enough and we play well enough and we get in the playoffs, there's no question what a benefit it will be to the development and where we're going. But what we have tried to do all year long is get that process, not go slow intentionally or not speed it up. Keep the normal process of the development. When things don't go right or there are mistakes, you sort of just correct them and you go forward. You know that you're going to be taking sometimes a half a step back, but you're going to go forward a step because of that. So the importance of it, it's significant as I said, to 30 teams in the National Hockey League. No less or no more to Toronto Maple Leafs. But where we are right now, the most important thing is the development and also finding out, and this is the most important point, finding out who the core players will be going forward that will be the foundation of this future.
Lou, the defense. When is the right age or the age that they develop? I see that's the hardest position to play out of all of the positions in the NHL. And the defense seems to be the one that's criticized the most by Leaf fans. How do you develop your defense?
We understand that. I think that if you have to look at where our needs are, I think we're extremely, in depth, up front. And at defense, we're young. And but it's also an area that is not the easiest to fill. I think that's something that's on us to try and see what we can do. If there was an opportunity to acquire a player that wasn't one that we developed, then we would do that. And then it's a case of at the expense of the whole, the word structure of the team, because you still have a cap. You still have to work within the framework and putting a team together. But we also have a couple of young fellows in the minors that we'll see how quickly they come along. They have a tremendous potential, even though I hate that word potential because that gets in the way sometimes. You can't win with potential, but they'll develop. That's something we have to address. That's something that could not be addressed, over this season, of the trade time, because the players that potentially were available were really not the players for us for what we're trying to do. So yes, it's an area where we recognize it, and now it's up to us to do something, about it at the appropriate time.
We're talking to Lou Nanne. Lou, we want to thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. Before we let you go, just one last question from me, and sort of a similar. We had Lou Nanne on the show last Sunday. We sort of asked him a similar question. And Auston Matthews is a big part of this discussion. This almost seems like, and we know that you've been heavily involved in U.S. hockey your entire life. It seems like the U.S. is heading into a golden age of hockey. We've got Matthews, Eichel, Johnny Hockey, and a whole bunch of brilliant young stars. What's happened to hockey in the United States? It seems like it's gone to a different level.
Well, I think, we have North American hockey that's really something, special. Expansion is what really allowed, the booming of U.S. hockey to specifically answer that question. I think the players that you see coming from a lot of different markets, college hockey is at the highest level of players. You talk about, young Goodrow, came out of Boston College. Eichel came out of Boston University. So college hockey in the States is at a higher level right now. Years ago, college hockey players were going in at 16 and 17. Now they're going in at 18 and 19, sometimes 20, and they're more prepared when they come out. So I think it's just expansion, to answer the question specifically, and really the commitment of some of these programs on 12 months. Players are, just playing hockey all year long. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know where they're going to peak. I'm a believer that you should play other sports also, but the skills that they have at the young age is just incredible.
Anyways, Lou, we've been talking to Lou Nanne.
Lou Lamoriello.
Lou Lamoriello. I apologize. We had Lou Nanne last week. I apologize.
That's all right. He's a good friend of mine.
Anyways, Lou, this is we really appreciate you taking the time for us this morning in your busy schedule. Our listeners love listening to you. That we really appreciate the work that you and Brendan and your entire staff have, and you've brought a buzz back to the Air Canada Centre. It's fun watching the Toronto Maple Leafs play again, and it's really a pleasure to have hope in the future once again for all us diehard Leaf fans. Thank you so much. I can't say how much we appreciate this.
My pleasure. Anytime. Thank you.
Thanks, Lou.
That, of course, was Lou Lamoriello, and general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs.